It's Ashley here from Paper and Twine, and welcome to day 5 of 31 days of Christmas crafting. We're going to make a chunky project today. I would advise that perhaps you make this over a couple of days. It could be something that you sell at craft fairs. It could be something that if you've got an Etsy shop, you make to order. It does require quite a lot of paper and card and time, so you might only want to make it for people that mean a lot to you. We are going to make an activity advent album, and what I have got are some pieces of Amazon packaging. It's quite thick, and I've cut this to 4¼ inches square. I've got 2 pieces like that, and then my spine is 2 inches. I'm hoping that is going to be enough. I'm using paper out of my stash, and I have got this, I've shown it before, Graphic 45 Christmas Carol collection 12 by 12 paper pad, and yeah, it's time to let go. So I'm using this one sheet for the cover, and I've cut this to, it's obviously 12 inches, got some stickers stuck to it. It's 12 inches across by 8 inches deep, and I'm going to have this on the cover because I just think it's really pretty. It's like a dog rose almost, isn't it, with the holly berries, and then we'll have this section inside. I need to work out what to cut that down to. So I am going to start by placing my spine roughly in the middle and leaving about 1/8 of an inch gap either side of the spine, and you'll see that I've got a narrower border on the edges than I have at the top and bottom. So I've seen a lot of people who do these use tape. I'm going to use my collal glue because it adds strength and stability. So what shall we start with? The spine, I think. So I hope everybody is well. Can't believe we're on day 5 already. I hope you're enjoying these projects. I'm certainly enjoying coming up with ideas. I made one of these for Bex when we did the Christmas in July swap. I think that's about right. And you need to be patient and let this dry. Just stuck my hand in the glue. That's very clever, isn't it? I am such a messy crafter. It is untrue. And just making sure that my gap is more or less even. I mean, these are handmade. They're not going to look, you know, shop bought. This bit's a bit bashed, but hopefully all will be well with the world. And just lay that down, making sure I've got an equidistant gap, and I'm just going to be patient and let that set a little bit. So that has set a bit, and all I've done, I've cut away these corners, not trimming too close because I don't want those corners exposed, and I've just teased the edges up, and I'm just going in with my bone folder just to get a nice sharp crease along those edges. The side pieces are a bit fiddly because you haven't got as much depth on those. Looking at this, I guess I could have cut my paper down to 7 inches rather than 8, but hopefully all will be good. Now I hope you can see here I've got a little bit of an overlap, and I'm just going to kind of curl that in on itself and then bring this down so that I've got a nice finish. Before I glue these bits down, I'm going to just fold up here as well, fold up my spine. Okay, that's looking okay. So I'm going to go ahead, you saw the process there, I'm just going to glue these pieces down, making sure that I've got a nice neat fold. And again, I'm using my collal. I've seen people use tape, but I'm going to use my collal because it will add strength and stability. So I've glued that down, and I want to attach a closure before I do my next little bit of gluing down the paper. So I have cut 2 pieces of black ribbon because I think the black just coordinates nicely with this. I mean, obviously you could use whatever colour you wanted, and there's lots of different colours in this paper, so you could go with a dark green. Actually, that dark green would be nice, or the red, or one of the pinks would be equally nice. So I've got some red liner tape. I'm going to just cut a bit and center it like so. I'm not going up to this edge because we're going to stick some more paper down, and I don't want to have tape kind of sticking out over the edge, if that makes sense. Another piece. That's a bit big actually. I was a little bit ambitious with how much I cut there. Pop that about there. Okay, and then we're going to take the red liner backing off. That came away quite easily. And I've cut about 30 centimetres, 2 lots of 30 centimetres. And I'm just leaving plenty to tie, because we can always trim, but we can't add, can we? And here's the other piece. So I'm just eyeballing. I haven't measured terribly accurately. And then I've got the piece that was left over is 4 inches, and I've cut this down to 4 inches by 10.5, because this measurement across here is 10 3/4, so that should give me a 1/4 of an inch gap all the way around. And the sun's come out now. Hold on, we'll just battle on as best we can. There's a big cloud come over the sun now. We'll be all right for a little bit, I think. So yes, I'm just going to put some collal on this, make sure I've got this the way up that I want it. Yeah, so I think this is going to be the right way up, and I'm going to put my collal on here. I hope that I haven't over glued, because we don't want oozage, do we? Okay, and just, I'm not going to press down hard, I'm just laying it so that I can centre top and bottom and left and right. So far we've used some Amazon packaging and a piece of 12 by 12 that's double-sided. So I'm just going to lay that on, smooth it over. I suppose I could have inked the edges of this paper. And I'm just going to find my crease and go in with my bone folder. Just to sharpen that. So I'm not brilliant at making these. I'm getting better. Look, see, we've got, I don't know quite how to address that. Stick that down again and hope it doesn't buckle up. Get that in that, really in that crease. So I don't want that paper on my spine to buckle. That's better. That's stuck down better now. And just spreading that glue around, and the beauty of the collal is that it stays wet for some considerable amount of time. I'm just spreading that glue around, and I've got a very nice closure on there now. And we've got our ribbon closure that we can tie into a nice bow, but also we've got enough to trim. I'm just going to make sure that these edges are well stuck down as well. Then we're just going to set this piece aside for now. I'm thinking about what I'm going to use to wrap on my spine for the closure, because we need to wrap something around for our leaves to go through. So I'm just going to set that aside for now. And what you will need for the next bit are 3 sheets of A4 card in a colour of your choice. I've gone for kind of like an off-white, and I would advise that you use a heavy GSM, 300 GSM, because there's going to be quite a lot of weight on each page with the matten layer and with the pocket and with the tag. So you can get 2 pieces out of 1 sheet of A4. You're going to need 6 in total. So you're going to need 6 pieces that are 4 inches by 8 inches, and you're simply going to score at 4 inches on the long side, and you need 6 of those in total, because 6 fours are 24. We've got 24 days of Advent. So just to make things swifter, I've gone ahead and I've selected a 12 by 12 paper pack from my stash. There are 16 designs in this one, so there was plenty to choose from. This is Docraft's Paper Mania that I've had for a number of years. Very good value paper pads. They're single-sided, which is good because, you know, you don't get the kind of like the dilemma of which side to use. And I've used a selection, and the colours all coordinate nicely with the cover of my booklet, of my album. So 24 faces you will have. Therefore, you will need to cut 24 pieces of patterned paper that are 3 7/8 square, and I've gone round all of mine with a little bit of gathered twigs distress ink. So here is my first signature. Here is my second signature. Here is my third. Really lovely, delicate design there. Here is my fourth. We've got some repeat, obviously. Fifth and sixth. And I've put this one with family and first Noel. That this is going to be my number 24. I really like that. I've only got one of those. And so what we need to do now is work out the size of our pockets. the size that we want our pockets to be. And I'm going to cut my pockets out of black card. I'm going to layer with gold for a little bit of opulence, and then I've got all sorts of scraps of patterned paper left over from cutting. We shall decorate our pockets with our scraps of paper that we've already used on the project so far. So let's have a little think. I've got a pencil here for calculations, and I think I want my pocket to come up about yay high. So that means if I cut it to 1.5, and across, I think we will have 3 3/4. So I need 24 pieces that are 1.5 by 3 3/4 in black. I will need 24 pieces that are 1 3/8 times 3 5/8 in gold. And then I will need 24 pieces that are 1 1/4 times 3 1/2 in patterned. So I'm going to go ahead and cut all of those and show you what we've got. So I have cut all of my pieces. I've got 24 of my black pieces of card that are 1.5 by 3 3/4. I've got 24 pieces of my gold Miri card. Just blind you there. That's 1 3/8 by 3 5/8. And out of the scraps of my paper that I used to cover these sections, I've got 24 different pieces, a range of different patterns that are 1 1/4 by 3 1/2, and I've just got to simply mat and layer them all. So I'll just get on with that. So it's Monday night as I'm doing this, ready for today, as you're seeing this, which is Tuesday. It's a bit confusing, isn't it? Sorry for any shadows and any glare. Hopefully we'll be all right. So I showed you that I'd cut 24 black pieces, 24 gold pieces, 24 patterned pieces. I went ahead and mat and layered those, and I've stuck 3 sides of my pocket down, and it's just enough to get a tag in, and I've stuck them all on my pages. I've tried to kind of just mix up the patterns a little bit, but kind of coordinate them. You get the idea. That's our last one for the 24th, Christmas Eve. So I'm going to bring back my little folder, and we want to attach our cord now. I'm hoping I've got enough on here. If not, I have got another new one that is unopened. And what I want to do is I want to bring in quite a substantial amount down the side here. And then I'm wrapping quite tightly. And I've got 6 leaves. So on the outside of my booklet here, I need 6 full lines of twine. So there's 2. I'm not counting this first one. 2. 3. It is a little bit fiddly. 4. 5. 5. There's my 6, and I want to bring another bit out to tie, so I'm going to cut about there. And then I can tidy these up a bit. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's my 6. Bring this back over, and what I want to do is thread this bit through that side, and this bit through this side, and I'm going to tie a knot. Let's just see if I still got this right way up. This is the right way up. So I want to tie a knot kind of somewhere not quite halfway, but towards the top. Like so. And then I'm going to spread these out a little bit on this side. Make them look a little bit neater. And then you're going to take your leaves, your signatures, and you are going to thread them like so. And there's our first one on, and I'm going to continue with that until they are all on. So I've got them all in, and they fit nicely with my 2-inch spine. And what we want to do now is make the tag portion that goes in the pockets. The one that I showed you that I made before, I used some pre-printed tags. I had these, which I had to cut down because they were too tall for my booklet, but I haven't got enough of these, and I just thought too much pattern might clash a little bit, so I've gone ahead and I've made my own. So I've cut myself a piece of card which is 6 by 8.5 centimeters. It's a fairly lightweight card actually. In fact, no, actually, I'll tell you what it is. When I do my 15 centimeter square cards, which is roughly 6 inches, I cut off a strip that is 6 centimeters. That's the waist, and that's what I've used to create these. So 6 by 8.5, and then I've chosen some of the patterned paper from the collection in kind of like neutral colours, like the plainer two-tone ones if you like, and I've cut that to 5.5 by 8, and I want to make it a tag shape. I don't have a tag die, and well, I tell a lie, I do, but it was a bit too small, so I thought this looked quite a nice size. And what I'm going to do to make it tag shaped, sorry you're getting glare from the light on my ruler, that's a little bit better, but I'm going to get shadow. I'm going to come in on the side and just put a little pencil mark at the one, and do it on this side as well. And a top tip, if you're doing multiple of these, which you will be, cut your card to size and then stack 2 or 3 up at a time and just mark on one. So coming in a centimetre, and then a centimetre there. Do the same with this piece. So I'm coming in a centimetre from the edge. So that's 4.5 and 1. And then just rotating and marking at 1. Just a little pencil mark. And 1. Put that away now. And don't need that. Give a little bit more light. And then I'm just going to come in with my scissors, and where I've got those 2 dots, I'm just cutting across so that my blade cuts through those pencil marks just to angle. And it's not exact, but it's close enough for jazz. And if you've got a stack, you know, you can cut through 2 or 3 at a time. And I'm just going to bring in some gathered twigs distress ink, and I'm just going to ink around the edges. It took me about 40, maybe 45 minutes to mat and layer all of my pockets and stick them into my booklet. Just bashed my lamp out the way. So I've just yeah, gone around the edge there, and I'm just going to glue this onto my tag base. It's not going to give me an exact mat and layer, but it's, again, it's close enough for jazz. It's a little bit wonky, but never mind. There we go. And then just bring in my little 1/8 of an inch circle punch, and just eyeballing, just to put a little hole in so we can thread some thread through. And I'm going to find an appropriate colour and thread all my tags. What I've started to do out of heavyweight copier paper, I think it's 120 GSM, I've started to cut some rectangles that I'm going to glue on the back. These are 5.5 by 7, I believe, and that's going to give me a little mat and layer round there, and I'm going to write my activities on. You could just as easily word process these in a nice font, but I'm just going to write my little activities, and I'm going to go around the edge with a black Sharpie. So it's late now. I will be back today, which is tomorrow for me, but today for you. It is the next day now, and what a funny old day it is weather-wise. Really cold. I've just got some chicken soup out of the freezer defrosting, ready for some lunch in a bit, and a cup of coffee. So if you're around, give Barry your order. I think you need a hot drink. Yeah, it's definitely a change in the weather now. We're in October, battling a bit with light. Sometimes the sun's coming through the clouds, so we'll just see how we get on. But we have made progress since I last saw you last night. I mean, it's still today for you, but you know what I mean. We have done all of our tags, so I showed you how I made my tags. You could just as easily cut down on the process by tags, but you would need to either cut them down or make your book to fit the dimensions of your tag. And last time I made one of these advent booklets or journals, whatever you want to call them, I put the numbers on the pockets. This time I've put them on the tag. I think year on year, if you've got kids and you're doing this with your kids while your kids are growing up, it would be better to put the number on the pocket, and then you can switch the order of the tags around so that year on year people don't know what's coming next, apart from Christmas Eve, which will be the same every year. But I've gone ahead and I've cut some paper, my heavy duty copier paper, which I think is 120 GSM. I've cut it to 7 centimeters by 5.5 to fit on my tag that is 6 by 8.5, I think, or 6 by 8. 6 by 8.5, yeah. And we cut these corners off. I thought this was quite a cute idea. There's loads of websites where they've got lists of advent countdowns that you could do, but I thought this was quite sweet. Donate a coat to a charity shop and leave a happy note in a pocket. So I've gone ahead and put numbers on all of my tags. My number die that I've got, the numbers are too big for the pocket, definitely. I might have got away with them on the tag. Yeah, I need to invest in another number die that's slightly smaller to do these, because buying stickers is quite expensive, and obviously if you have a die you can choose what colour you cut your numbers out of. I have bought these stickers from the range for £1. I got these ones as well. These were just a bit too small, but they'll come in for something. And I've needed to use multiple packets of these because obviously you've got to use repeats of numbers, and there weren't enough ones or twos either. There might have just been enough twos. Anyway, those were £1, so I've spent £2 on stickers, and I've gone through. I'm not going to read all of the things that are on the back. Let's just do a random one. Let's see what number 12 is. Make some Christmas cookies such as gingerbread men. And all I've got to do is number 24. So I just thought I'd show you very quickly how I did it. So I've got my 0.5 millimeter micron pen, and it's going to be for Christmas Eve. What could it be? Oh, hang up your stockings. I'm coming in a bit because I'm going to leave a border. Hang up your stockings. Put out the reindeer food. Which we've previously made. And leave a snack. For Santa. Merry Christmas. I wish they'd done this kind of thing when my kids were younger. They didn't have things like Elf on a shelf, but it would be nice to have had those kinds of family traditions. And then I'm just going to come in with my steel rule and my black Sharpie pen and carefully draw a border around. You can see that this paper has suffered a bit from all the lines that I've previously drawn, and this has been time consuming. You're seeing this in one day. It has taken me a day and a half. I'm sure that you could cut down the process by making, or buying rather, ready-made tags. If I had some more of those Craftwork card tags that had got Christmas images on, I would have used those, because I'm saving two processes. I'm saving the making of the tag, and I'm saving decorating the tag. So that's two processes that I'm cutting down on. Just going to come in with my glue, which is probably going to be bunged up. Oh no, we're okay. Just put a bead of glue around the edge. Now I've used quite adult paper on all of this, but I'm sure if you search, or if you've got digital collections, you could find images that are more child friendly, cutesy. I haven't stuck that on very straight, have I? Never mind. But I've gone with quite a traditional look here. On the other one that I did put a cute penguin on the front, but we're going to do something different on the front with this. I'm not going to embellish these pockets. You could do, if you wanted to, the ones that are a bit plainer, you could perhaps put a Christmas sentiment on, but I think we've spent enough time on that. And I've used some cream silk twine to thread through my tags. On the one that I did for Bex, I put beads on as well. If you were making this for your own family, you'd go to a bit more trouble, and perhaps beads threaded through this would be nice. I love the feel of this silk. I wish I could still get it for knitting with, because that would be just gorgeous. Now we are going to put a little something on the front, and I've already gone ahead and I have stamped from this Julie Hickey A7 stamp set, the poinsettia, because I think it'll go nicely with what's on there. I'm going to bring in my festive berries and my mowed lawn distress inks. Let's just put the little lid back on my glue and have another slurp of coffee before it goes cold. Oh yeah, it just got a bit too cold. And an acrylic block, fine paintbrush and water brush. So I'm just going to put a bit of water on my block. Let's just move this out of the way. It is a chonker, it is very heavy. And we're going to colour our poinsettia in with the festive berries, and use my fine brush. I didn't heat emboss this. I should have heat embossed maybe. In fact, for that I am going to use my water brush, because it is quite a big area. I don't need the fine brush, just bring a bit more ink in. And just colour in. You could use patterned paper from the collections that you've used. You know, if there's a focal image that you like. So for example, there's this poinsettia here I could have used. Would have looked quite nice on the front, but it's just slightly too big for what I wanted, because I want that background paper to shine through. Yeah, so as I was saying, it's taken me a day and a half to make this. And I think for a family heirloom, particularly if you're at the stage where you've got kids that are growing up, you know, young kids, it's something that you bring out year on year. I think it's a really nice thing to make. I was thinking in terms of if you were going to make this to sell. I think it's too time consuming personally for what people will pay. Thinking about it, I'd want £30. You know, you've got the cost of all your materials. You know, it is quite paper and card heavy, but it's the time, you know. And if you think £30 for a day and a half's work, it's way less than minimum wage, isn't it? But people don't want to pay for people's time in handmade things. I've found that with, you know, knitting garments for people. They're happy enough to pay the cost of the materials, but they don't want to pay the cost of your time. Let's just clean my brush. Get rid of this red. I'm just going to blend this out a little bit. And then we'll come in with some green for the leaves. I've already gone around the edge of this with a black Sharpie. And mowed lawn is a very versatile colour, I think. And I'm doing this on a scrap of card that is 2 7/8 square. It is, by looks of it, some type of watercolour card, so it's taking the ink quite nicely. Okay, that's that. Let's just give that a clean. I should be using this ink on a little splodge of background, shouldn't I? Just pop those out of the way, and I'm going to use my fine liner again, if I can find the right one. I don't want 0.05, it's a bit too fine. There we go, 0.5. And I'm going to put our Advent activity book at the bottom. Our Advent activity book. If you were lucky enough to get some commissions, obviously you could type this, and I handwrite all of my tags, but you could obviously word process them if you wanted to be a bit more professional. But I like the handwritten book look. And if you were doing this for a commission, you could put the family's name, you know, like the Dexter's Advent activity book or whatever. And I know I've matted everything in gold inside, but I am a sucker for this silver sparkle card. So I'm going to mat my image on the silver sparkle card on the front. At this stage, it doesn't matter which way I'm sticking it on, but we'll try and get it centered. And then we will stick this on the front of our booklet. Now you could stick it dead center like that. Sometimes I like to offset at the top, but I think on this occasion we will do it centrally. There we go, just make sure it's as straight as possible, just eyeballing it. And I think I'm going to add some glossy accents to the middle of this poinsettia. I think that will finish it off quite nicely. I'll just go and get it. So just going to put a little bit of glossy accents in the middle. Come on out you come. Just to make that shine a little bit. Now I'm going to just put this to one side, and we've got a 2-for-1 today. I told you this was going to be a beast of a project, and it sure is a beast of a project. We're going to make a box for our book, because if this is going to come out year after year, we want to preserve it as best as possible. You could make this prettier here, but in this instance I'm not going to, and it might alter the dimensions of my box. You could put some ribbon around there and tie some little jingly bells, but I'm not going to on this occasion. So I have taken the measurements of my finished book, and it needs to be quite deep. So I'm bringing in my Crafter's Companion. You can't see the whole thing. I'm out of shot. Let's just make a little bit of room. Don't need this. And you have seen me make boxes before, but I'll just start off this process because otherwise it is going to be a very long video. Let's move that book out of the way. So I have decided that I want my box to be 2 3/4 inches deep. So for the base, I have cut a piece of card that is 10 inches square, and butting up to this side, which is the box base, I'm going to score at 2 3/4 inches all the way round, making sure that I get a nice straight even score, making sure that my paper is butted up well, and I'm going to repeat that on all 4 sides. With the lid, I've got a piece of card that is 8 inches square, and I will be butting it up to this side, and I want my lid to be 1 3/4 inches deep, so quite a deep box. And again, I will be doing that on all 4 sides, and I'll come back to you when I've done that. So that is done, and using my scissors, I'm carefully going to cut up my score line to where it meets here and notch away and I will be doing that on all 4 sides, but you need to rotate. I should do that with my base and my lid. So I've folded and burnished on all 4 sides, and I've adhered my corners together. I've got a little bit wrong there, but never mind, it'll be fine. And what you want to try and do, you can't see, but you want to get your glue as close up to your score line on the tab as you can, and pay attention to the top part, because you want it to stick really well there, and line up your corners, your edges, so that you've got a nice crisp join, and then go in with your bone folder and just adhere that down. And I've done the lid, and this is where the lid doesn't fit. Oh yes, it's going to fit nicely, nice and snugly. There we go. So you can see our box like that. So I've brought out the 2 paper collections that I used. I used the Graphic 45 Christmas Carol to cover my activity journal, and then I used the Do Crafts Paper Mania for the inside of my journal. And I'm just going to decide what I want on the top that coordinates nicely. I don't know whether to use this again for the top of the box excuse me, so that it is you know, the same as the booklet, or whether to go with something completely different. I don't know. I'm going to have a play, and I'll come back and show you the finished box, because you don't need to see me decorate a box, do you? Oh, that's quite nice, but it has no resemblance to what I've been doing. So I will be back soon. So I've finished my box and my album, and I'm pleased with the finish with this. It is quite a chonker. I've just weighed it. It's 285 grams. I've stamped Noel from this Julie Hickey Christmas set, and I heat embossed it with clear black ink because I wanted to watercolour, and I've coloured using a fine liner the holly leaves and the berries and the little sprig here, but then I went in with the watercolour in gold. It's the Pretty Gets Gritty white gold explosion powder. You can just see it shining there. Very subtle gold, but I think if I was to do this again, I'd do all the painting first and then go in with the fine liner, because obviously I'm using water. I've spread the colour of the fine liners a bit, and it's bled just very slightly there, and then I've just backed on a little tiny scrap of the silver sparkle just for a bit of interest, and I can't get the lid off now. There we go, look, there it goes. Just to show you, there's the book inside. So a 2-for-1 project today, a beast of a project. If you're going to do this, do it over a number of days. Don't stress yourself out over it, because there are a lot of processes. But as I said before, I would batch cut things. So cut all your tags, cut all your pages, cut all your pockets and your mats and layers, and then just assemble. Update on the chicken soup, which I'm going to have in a minute. It's not chicken soup, it's actually chicken casserole. But hey ho, it'll be nice and warm on what is a grey, blustery afternoon. So I'm not sure what I'm going to make tomorrow. Do come back, let me know what you think of this. If you do craft fairs and things to sell, would you make this to sell, or would you just keep it for special people in your life? I'll be back tomorrow. Take care everybody. Bye now.